Hi guys, Dan Jerseth here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to track and why to track your ROI on ad spend. If you are an agent and you are looking to grow your real estate business, which I'm hoping you are, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're probably already wondering how to grow your business, how to scale up, how to get more leads, how to convert more leads, and how to make more money. So in this video, I'm going to be specifically covering how you can track your ROI on ad spend. Why is this important? If you're spending money and not getting an ROI on that ad spend does not make any sense. If you're spending money and getting more ROI than what you're spending, if you're making more money than what you're spending, it makes sense to double down on the things you're getting the highest ROI on. If you're not tracking these data points or at least touching base with them once in a while, you're running your business blind and you're not going to make it that far. So, for example, if I'm spending $2,000 a month on lead gen XYZ, whatever that might be, but I've only closed 3 transactions in the past 6 months. So if I've spent $2,000 a month for the past 6 months, I've spent $12,000, but I've only closed 3 transactions. Well, in that situation, your probably ROI is a little bit over 1 times. So let's say an average of $4,500 per commission check, you've probably made around $13,000 for $12,000 worth of ad spend. To me, that's a lot of work for a very small ROI. So your ROI is only about $1,000 over that 6 month period. So you spent 12,000 to make 13,000. And so you have a $1,000 net. In that scenario, to me, it doesn't really make sense. You'd want to be at least making a 3 times ROI to be able to make that ad spend worth it for you in the long run. So I have made a couple different charts here and a couple different graphs, and I'm going to go over them with you here. And gonna kind of show you how I started doing this stuff and how we've kind of worked into using a system to help us. You don't need an elaborate system to do this. It's very simple. You keep track of your expenses. So for example, let's say you do buy Zillow leads, for example, and you spend $1,500 a month on Zillow leads. You know, within a 6 month period, you spend 6 times $1,500. So whatever that is, divided by how much money you've made, or how much money you've made divided by what the cost has been. That gives you an ROI on investment. And there's more things to play in there, but that gives you a baseline idea of what you're doing specifically around that lead gen source. So I wrote up a little graph here and screen share with you quick. Alrighty, so you guys can see me hopefully. This specific, as you can see here, this specific spreadsheet is a tracker for ad spend. And I'm going to go through these with you guys. I'm not going to go through every single line because that's kind of redundant after a while. But let's keep track of, let's look at 2 or 3 of these and kind of analyze them and figure out whether that lead gen source is something we should keep or not keep. My first example here is where I get most of my business personally is from my database. So I keep a database of about 3,000 people, and I continuously touch all those people through phone calls, text messages, emails, direct mail, events, whatever it might be, social media. And those people see me probably 60 to 100 times every year, and I become top of mind for those people. So for us, our biggest lead generation source is consistently has been Sphere and database driven marketing, and just how I like it. The reason why I like it is it's a very predictable lead gen source. When you market yourself as the trusted go-to real estate advisor, it's very much different than buying online leads. So when your database knows who to contact for real estate needs, it's a very much predictable way that people are going to continuously reach out. However, what can happen on Zillow leads or Google leads or realtor.com leads or whatever lead gen source that you're pulling from online lead generation or internet lead generation. That can be turned off in an instant, or the leads can dry up. And I think it's a very risky way to build a foundation of a business. I'm not against online lead generation because we do it. It's just not our main source. And I'll kind of show you why as we go through here, why I'm focusing on my sphere and database marketing. You obviously want your highest ROI to go towards, obviously want as high of an ROI as possible when you're spending money. So if you're going to spend $1,000 a month, I'm hoping we're going to at least get $3,000 in return, which gives us a 3 times ROI. Let me kind of break down what we do. So for sphere and database marketing, here's an example. These aren't our exact numbers, but here's an example of how I would calculate this. When I started calculating these in the early days of me building my business here, it really made it clear to me that I needed to double down on having events, on doing things back to my sphere, because we got such an abundant amount of people referring us and repeat business that it made complete sense to focus on this and get this down really well before we even focused on any other lead source. So I was a little lopsided when I first got started. I think it was 80 to 90% of all my business came from my friends, family, referrals from the friends and family. And over time, I've realized in order for us to scale up, we do need to start bringing out other lead gen sources in, so that we're not just kind of, stagnating our growth. But it's been a process. It's been a 5-year process of us putting this together. And now we're at the time where we are starting to add other a little bit more risky or low ROI lead generation efforts in there, so that we can kind of diversify where our leads are specifically coming from. So let's look into this sphere and database marketing. So from here to here is the first segment, sphere and database marketing. So a couple things that we do that we spend money on to get business from this is we host events. Throughout the year, we spend about $5,280 on events. We host events every 2 months. So that means we have about 6 events a year. And on those events, we spend about $5,200. Monthly mailers, these go back out to everybody who we have an address for, all of our past clients. We send mailers out to them. We send a postcard, gets our face in their mailbox. It allows them to see us, it allows them to remind us that we're still here and we want referrals from them. We spend about $7,250 on that. The third thing we spend money on in our database is our ice cream giveaways. So we partner with Ramones. We do a bunch of giveaways and ice cream cones for free, and we spend about $1,200 on that. Great ways to give back and connect with our database. So total ad spend around our database marketing is about $13,765. You guys can kind of understand how I did the simple math there, not very complicated. And when I looked at how many closings we had 81 transactions close off of that $13,765 that we spent. Very effective ROI, very effective way to market to people. Now, based on that $13,765 we spent, we've closed 81. So what I did to connect how much money per lead that we spent, I just took 13,000 divided by $81, and that got us $169.94 per closing. So now I know what my per closing cost is whenever I close somebody within my sphere. I know for me to spend XYZ dollars, or if I double my ad spend, it doesn't necessarily mean I'll close 162 transactions for the year. But right now, this is currently our ROI, and it gives me a good idea, a good base knowledge for me to know, okay, when I spend money in the database, I will get, it'll cost me $169 per lead. To me, that's a very, very effective way to close the transactions, considering our average check, a GCI check, is about $4,800. So when I take an average of $4,800 divided by 100, so an average income, average GCI earned from a closing is about $4,800. I divide that by how much it costs per closing, that gives me an ROI. So I have a 28x ROI on every dollar spent. I make $28.25 back when I spend it in the sphere or database marketing. Now, keep in mind, just because we spend this money, these aren't the only things we do to get business from our sphere. We also make a lot of phone calls, which don't cost anything for us to do. It's just a time commitment. So it's not, don't get the idea that you're just going to start spending $7,000 worth of mailers throughout the year and all of a sudden getting a 28x ROI. We put a lot of effort into our social media, which doesn't cost money. We put a lot of effort into calling them and connecting with them on every 6 times a year. And all these things don't cost any money. So that's not reflected in here. So the amount of time and effort we put into it, it's not, there's no way to really necessarily quantify that in the graph I have here. If we kept track of how much time we spent on it, we could probably calculate how many dollars per hour we're actually earning. In this scenario, we're just simply calculating what our ROI is on ad spend versus how much income we have. So you can see that our sphere and database, to me, if I could spend $1 and get $28 back, I would do that all day long. This is why will be our main lead gen source probably forever, is going to be a foundation of database marketing, and for obvious reasons. So let's move on to something else. Another lead gen source that we have personally is radio and TV advertising. Now, these aren't our exact numbers. I wanted to give an exact opposite representation to show you guys kind of what the opposite of not effective marketing would be, right? So radio and television advertising here. Radio, $1,300 a month. TV advertising, $1,300 a month. Total ad spend between radio and TV is $2,600 per month. I need to calculate these for the year. Sorry about that. So 2,600 times 12. I was just doing this beforehand. So to 31,000. So 31,200 is actually going to be, this will be about 3 transactions. So total ad spend, 1,300. So you can see here, $31,000 spent on radio and television, 3 direct closings that came off of people who called off of radio or television advertising efforts. Cost per closing was $10,400. I just got that by dividing the 31,000 divided by 3. And that gets us a $10,400 cost per closing. Now keep in mind, we only make $4,800 per closing that we have. So when you look at this, you say, okay, we spent $10,400 per closing, but we only closed 3 transactions, which means that we only made 4,800 times 3 is about 14,400. So based on the 3 closings we have, we almost spend $10,000 per closing, which is more than we made almost as much as we made the entire year on all of our closings off that one lead gen source. So this is a little bit wonky. It's kind of the exact opposite of our last one where we made a 28x ROI. We made a 0.46, which means that we actually lost money every time that we closed on a transaction with radio and television, which means that we have a negative ROI, which would be something to definitely look into, as probably eliminate immediately. Obviously there's more factors as far as branding and other things, but yeah, this is just a good baseline for us to look at and say, okay, is this something we want to keep, or is there other factors that might make us want to keep this lead gen source? And then for everybody out there who buys online leads, this is a very simple one too, Zillow advertising. I want you guys to keep in mind here, whenever you get a lead in, you have to keep track of that lead somehow. And I'm actually going to show you guys how we keep track of people. I'm actually going to go into one of my current transactions. So if you don't have a nice platform like this, then you're going to want to just use a Google spreadsheet or I'll go to one of my personal closings here. Okay, so Declaration Drive in Eau Claire. This, so I can go in here and I can go into I'll go into the client's profile, because that's where I actually keep track of what source they are. And you can see that they're a Sphere referral. So they were actually a referral from one of my friends. And that is one of our lead gen sources. So that would be a Sphere referral. So if you guys don't have a way to track specifically what a source is, you guys need to make sure you start doing it. If you don't do that, keep a spreadsheet throughout the year. So if you have 30 closings, you can say Jamie went closed 2/22/23. Income, you could keep track of everything, but for this situation, I'm going to say source. So name, date closed, source. In this situation, it was a Sphere referral. Somebody I've had on Facebook for years, one of my friends, referred me over her mom. Her mom was moving. I'm going to cut this. We're going to make another spreadsheet here. And boom, there you go. This is how simple it is, guys. You could keep track of Dan Johnson closed 1/2/23. So they closed, and this could be a Zillow closing. So now you can easily, very, very simply go through your entire database and start keeping track of this, or have an assistant do it, or whoever. It's essential if you guys want to turn your business into a business rather than just continue to run it like a job. So go back to this Zillow advertising. Zillow, we spent $7,000 throughout the year. We got 4 closed transactions. So 7,000 divided by 4, it costed us $1,750 per closing. That take 4,800 divided by 1,750. That gives us an ROI of 2.74 times per closing. So every dollar I spend, I get $2.74 back. That's it's pretty low ROI, especially when you consider our events and database marketing. There might be a number of reasons why. You might have a strategy, a really good follow-up program for this group, and that this might increase over time once you follow up with these people 20, 30, 40, 50 times. Then you bring them to your events multiple times, and that Zillow lead might close. So I would say for any online lead generation, it's really a long-term effort. So you need to be doing it for 12 to 15, probably a year to year and a half, to really get a gauge, a really good idea of what you're going to get on ROI there. For obvious reasons. And same thing with realtor.com. Now, keep in mind here, there's a couple different lead gen sources that I really love to use, and they have unlimited ROI. Open houses don't cost you anything to host an open house and to have a conversation with the buyer or a potential buyer seller that comes to an open house. That's why we host many open houses on our team, because it doesn't cost a single thing. Ad spend 0, closed transactions 5. So we got 5 closed transactions. 5 times 4,800 is $24,000, but we didn't spend a single cent on actually getting those leads. We spent some time and effort on it, but when it comes to actual how much money we spent, it's 0. So we have an unlimited ROI. So for me, I'm going to probably focus more of my time on open houses, and also other online lead sources that you can get for free as well. So for sale by owners, it doesn't cost a single thing to pick up the phone and call a for sale by owner. So if you're an agent who's just getting started, I'm not spending money on radio and television. That's for damn sure. Look at that ROI. Terrible. I'm probably also not spending money on Zillow. maybe you can get but this is just an example. These aren't my exact numbers, but this would be example of, okay, if I'm gonna have to spend $1,750 for a closing, I am probably going to be looking for different sources. So I'm probably going to be hosting a hell of a lot of open houses, and I'm probably going to be calling a lot of FSBOs and probably a lot of expireds. I didn't add expireds in here, but that's one of my favorite lead gen sources. And I'm also going to be, as a new agent, I'm going to start learning how to touch my database. Keep in mind, when you're a new agent, you don't have to spend money on an ice cream giveaway. You don't have to spend money on monthly mailers. You don't have to spend money on events. You can do free events. We happen to spend money on it because we have a budget for it, and we can. But when I first got started, pretty much everything I did was phone calls, conversations. I would go like their things on Facebook, go comment on things on Facebook. All these things don't cost any money. And that's why we scaled up so quickly from early on. Within 5 years, we went from 0 to closing 135 transactions, and in a profitable way, which is most important. And that's because we focused on the very high ROI things like database and Sphere and expireds, FSBOs, open houses. I have never even I bought realtor.com leads in my first year in business, and then I quit. We've never bought Zillow leads. We do pay for radio and television now only because we can. And we focused on the very, very high ROI things. And it's worked out well for us. And it's also how we have anybody new who joins the team. That's the first thing that they do. They start putting their own database together. And at the end of the day, success leaves clues. The people who are running really, really successful, profitable businesses have good databases, and they're touching them consistently. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I am pretty passionate about keeping track of what your business is doing, making sure you have a profitable business. It's not always easy. Definitely is not easy, actually. I would say having call reluctance is one of the hardest things to overcome. So hopefully this is valuable to you guys, and I'd love to hear you guys' comments or your thoughts on tracking your ROI. You have a good day. Peace out.